Hello and welcome to Two Guys and a Few Good Men. I am TJ Washuk.
I'm Garrett Loberg.
And this is Movie Lowdown for the week of August 20th, 2018.
So let's get right into the news.
Alright, first up we have Forbes' list of the world's highest paid actors. Number one on the list was George Clooney at $239 million. Now, he hasn't been in movies since 2016. Most of his money he received this year is from his tequila company.
I think that's cool that celebrities do philanthropy and they can make money in other outlets, but I don't think that if they're an actor, I think that should go by how many movies they're in or how much they gross at box office. What you'll see with a lot of these other actors is they're people that gross a lot of money in their box office, and that's why they're on this list. I love George Clooney, but haven't seen him in anything good in 2 years, so I don't know why he's top on this list. I know that's with his tequila sales, but I think that some of these other actors should go up there instead of him.
Yes, so that brings us to number two, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Man, that guy has been pushing out a ton of movies. He has even looked like it was 5 or 6 movies in the works.
Yeah, and he does at least like 3 to 4 movies, if not cameos, a year. So you see him at that top spot as well.
Following up at number 3 and 4, we have the Marvel boys, Robert Downey Jr. at $81 million, and then Chris Hemsworth at $64.5 million.
And once again, like I was saying earlier, it's just this. You got these guys that are gonna have very large movies. You know, Infinity War was a big portion of that, but also Thor Ragnarok. But they're coming into their own company, so it makes sense.
And then number 5 is Jackie Chan. He had a $45.5 million. Last year he was in Bleeding Steel and The Foreigner, and I believe Kung Fu Yoga.
Yeah.
And then he was a producer in some movies. Now, I'm not going to go into the next, the bottom 5. You guys can always, pull up the list yourself and look.
One interesting one that I will say that I saw on that list is actually 6, is Will Smith. But then again, I forget that he was in Bright. He's also in Suicide Squad, so he's had a couple of movies that did really good in the box office. Maybe not ratings, but box office. So next story, kind of segueing into what we talked about 2 weeks ago with the Dark Universe trying to get their universe jumped up. We've got Netflix trying to maybe make their own TV show or movie where they can have a cinematic universe.
Yeah, and they kind of already do have their own cinematic universes, technically, with their TV shows. There's the Orange is the New Black. They now have the rights to Black Mirror. They have Stranger Things. So I'm not entirely sure what they're planning on. Doesn't really say in their articles we've read, but they are planning on making some type of movie cinematic universe.
Yeah, and I highly doubt they're going to take their shows and slam them together, because then you're going to lose an audience really quick with that one, I feel like. But you never know with Netflix. They're kind of going off of, they're kind of doing whatever they want right now. So.
And they also have a cinematic universe with their Marvel, the Marvel shows that they have. So it might be some entirely new, project for them.
I don't think it's going to be anything for them. I know that the only movie that they have right now that they're working on that I know of is a sequel to
Bright?
Death Note and Bright.
Yeah.
And I don't see those universes clashing anytime soon. So it's hard to tell what they're going to do with it.
Now, there was also in the news a movie poster that was recently released for Holmes & Watson, starring Will Farrell and John C. Reilly. Now, recently in the news, John C. Reilly said that they are not going to continue on the Step Brothers franchise, but they've been in Anchorman together, Talladega Nights, and now they're going to be in a Sherlock Holmes. Looks like it's going to be of course, a comedy with these two, probably really wacky and silly.
I think it's a very good idea for them not to go with Step Brothers 2. I think they have a lot of cool characters in that cinematic movie they could bring back, but I think that it's old. It was really funny because they were so old. So it's hard to imagine that they're gonna do a year skip of time and that's all they're gonna do. But I like them working on these different comedy movies. They're really funny and they play off of each other so well that you can just enjoy watching them. And I mean, just watching their bloopers are really funny in general. But the two of them just get along too well. So I think they both said to each other, let's not do that, let's make our own movie, or let's do another crazy comedy.
Yeah, and I think this one will be a fun one. I know Robert Downey Jr. is going to be going back to his role as Sherlock Holmes in 2020, so it'll be interesting to see that this movie is probably going to come out, I'm guessing, around the same time, or maybe a year after.
I believe they said late 2019, or no, it's middle of 2019.
Oh, so a year before.
Also on the note of the Dark Universe, Jason Blum of Blumhouse Productions, from such films as BlacKkKlansman, Happy Death Day, there's a lot of shit here.
The new Halloween that's coming up, Glass, that franchise. A lot. He has a huge list of movies under his belt.
And he wants to join the Dark Universe, which we kind of sometimes have a running joke about that. I feel like it will probably be brought up a lot because we're really invested in it for some reason. But Blumhouse has got a lot of good stuff, and I think if they got into the Dark Universe and Universal just lets them have their way, I think that it could be scarier. I think they could start doing some rated R stuff, which would be interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, they have a huge library of movies of note. Insidious, Paranormal Activity, Purge, The Gift, Ouija. It's a huge list. I mean, most of you, I'm sure, have seen at least one Blumhouse movie. It's a big production company.
Yeah, so if that happens, if they let him join on, I think that would be extremely beneficial for Dark Universe.
And then moving forward, update to the Venom franchise that Sony's trying to do.
There's a lot of updates on this.
Yeah, so bear with us here. Venom apparently is going to have 3 movies because Tom Hardy has signed on for 3 movies. Also, Tom Hardy did not use a motion capture suit in this.
So they're going to CGI that bad boy everywhere.
And then still no word on what the rating is going to be. It's going to be either rated R, PG-13. Us fans are hoping for rated R.
Which is kind of annoying, but at the same time, it makes it a rat race until, they actually have to drop that on posters.
Exactly, and then it's coming up. It's on October 5th. You only have a month or so to go, and even before then, they have to put out posters for it. But reading into the list of characters that are going to be in this movie, they're going to have the Life Foundation symbiotes. We found out that Donna Diego, Scream, is going to be in it. Patrick Mulligan, character Toxin, rumored to be in it, so we'll see. It has been confirmed, according to the Wikipedia and the IMDb, that Woody Harrelson is going to be in the movie, but it doesn't show him in the trailers as of yet. So we're thinking he might be Cletus Cassidy, Carnage.
Yeah, it's a very big chance he can play a pretty weird, messed up person. Woody Harrelson's got that kind of unhingedness to him sometimes. So I'd love to see him as that, if not anything, another symbiote, or I don't know. I think at this point they better do a symbiote universe, or else, I don't know, risking putting a Marvel or Spider-Man or Venom characters, like bad guys, would be a little weird.
They have a lot to work with the Venom characters, and now recently the new origin story has been released about the Lord Symbiote Null, which is Venom's god, or the god of the symbiotes, and that has been just released in the comics. So I wonder if that's going to be tied into this movie. I'm thinking it's not, just because how recently the news has broke on that.
In Null, they actually go into depth of why the symbiotes are afraid of sound. And that was
weak to fire.
Yeah, and weak to fire, and they go into that. So it'd be nice to see if they actually give him some weaknesses, or if they. I want to know what his weakness is. That's a pretty big part of having a good guy.
Yeah, and he is, the anti-hero. Really hoping for this movie. Venom is my favorite character or villain next to the Joker, honestly. Pretty much grew up watching the Spider-Man TV show and reading the comics, and really hoping for this movie.
We got movie trailers.
First up on the movie trailers, we have Hold the Dark.
It's a Netflix original.
It's being directed by Jeremy Solner, and he has done the movie The Green Room. If you haven't seen that movie, it is a thriller. I definitely recommend that one. This movie is starring Alexander Skarsgård, Riley Keough, and then Jeffrey Wright. He has been in quite a few things. Jeffrey Wright has one of the main characters in Westworld. He's also in The Hunger Games.
Yep. He also plays Think Tank on Venture Brothers, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my favorite shows.
This movie looks like a thriller. Looks like some children have been suspected to be taken by wolves. It appears that there's also some Native American tribe possibly in the works with that, and they're in the Alaskan wilderness, and Jeffrey Wright's character has been hired to track down the missing children.
Yeah, it looks like a really good mystery too, because you just by the trailer you have no clue what's going on. I really like that about Netflix trailers, is they don't give you a lot of information, so you actually have to watch it. And if you have Netflix, it's the best part. It's super easy.
And I'm hoping that the cinematography on this is going to be similar to Wind River, which was one of my favorite movies from last year with Jeremy Renner, where he's in the snow.
And speaking of Netflix, we got another Netflix movie coming out on November 9th, Outlaw King, with Chris Pine. We got Taylor Johnson as well, and David Mackenzie. This is kind of a more 14th century Scottish war movie, and just at the beginning I didn't notice that Aaron Taylor Johnson was him. I was so surprised by his Scottish accent. What do you think about this movie?
Yeah, it looks like an epic, kind of like Braveheart in a way, with those battle scenes that they showed. So with the acting from Chris Pine and very underrated Aaron Taylor Johnson, I'm excited for this one. I'm a big fan of war movies like this, war movies in general, and this movie is actually going to be in select theaters. It said on the trailer.
Yeah, and that probably means that Netflix is finally getting some money to go out and purchase theater time, which I think is really cool for them. That'll get more viewership too. Maybe more people say, oh wow, this is a really good movie, let's get it Netflix. So
up next we have the movie Slice. It's a A24 movie directed by Austin Vasili. He has only done looks like short movies, and he actually has done a movie for the main character, Chance the Rapper, in this movie. He's also starring Zazie Bates, Hannibal Buress, Joe Keery, Chris Parnell, Paul Scheer. It's a pretty big cast for this movie. A24 has been making great movies. I can't stress that enough how much I like this production company. But basically this movie looks like it's about a pizza delivery driver or a pizza business that has a portal to hell. I'm not sure what's going on with the movie, but it looks interesting from the trailer.
Yeah, it's got a fun horror aspect to it that I don't think a lot of, like, it's got a comedy horror.
Yeah.
If you make a comedy. But it looks good, and they don't even have Chance the Rapper until the end of the trailer, and that the trailer held it on its own. So I think it's got a good little future on its way.
This movie, Suspiria, it is a remake of a 1970s movie. It is about a ballet school in Germany, and it has some demonic elements to it. It comes out after Halloween, but this movie kind of reminds me like Black Swan, but scarier.
Yeah, way darker. I think they made the trailer a little too dark. Not in a bad way, just the sounds are really chilling. So
yeah, and it's the soundtrack is by Tom York from Radiohead, so it's gonna be a good soundtrack, I'm sure. But this movie is starring Chloe Grace Moretz, Dakota Johnson. She was in the 50 Shades of Grey trilogy. Tilda Swinton, that weird-looking lady from Doctor Strange and the Grand Budapest Hotel, as well as Mia Goth, who was in Cure of Wellness.
There's a lot of really good female actors. I think this is gonna be a weird, mysterious movie. Just by the trailer it gives you the chills, which is nice because not a lot of trailers do that. If they do that at like 2 o'clock in the morning when you're having a jump scare on YouTube.
Yeah, and also to note, this is a Amazon Studios movie. This is going to be in theaters with Amazon's new push to put movies out into theaters and then release them exclusively on their Amazon Prime Video.
Movie reviews. What's in the news? Alright, so this week on movie reviews we have the Happy Time Murders. TJ was lucky enough to get early passes on Wednesday. I personally was working, so TJ's got our review this week. Take it off.
Yep, so Happy Time Murders, starring Melissa McCarthy, Elizabeth Banks, directed by Brian Henson, and yes, that is Jim Henson's son.
We had to check that.
So it looks like they're taking, the Muppet movies to that level. This movie is rated R. However, okay, so what I liked about the movie was definitely the puppeteering, and at the end of the movie they have the kind of like behind the scenes with the credits rolling, showing off, behind the scenes of them making the puppeteering and whatnot. Everything is controlled by a person. That's the part I liked about it. Everything else, I felt like they threw in too many fucks, like they just wanted to have the word fuck in the movie 100 times for no reason. And the plot was okay. Basically, it is about a private detective who was a former police officer, but he lost his job because he didn't kill the person that was holding Melissa McCarthy's character hostage. So that plays throughout the movie. What else can I say about this movie?
It's funny because I heard all the equal same things that you're saying in all the reviews. Like, puppeteering was great. They did a really good job puppeteering, but everything else, it was like that was all they put their money into.
Yeah, I kind of had hopes for this movie, but not really. I'm not a big Melissa McCarthy fan. My favorite movie I guess she's been in is Bridesmaids. Other than that, she plays the same character. She's kind of like a Roseanne Barr in a way.
Yeah, she is kind of funny, but she really only has her moments, and not a lot of them.
So I give this movie a thumbs down. If you're looking to see puppeteering, yeah, see this movie. But if you want a good movie, I would skip out on this. And that is gonna do it with Movie Lowdown for this week.
And I actually have a really good question for all of you today. Really quick before we sign out. Who do you think is going to do better? Sonic or the Pikachu movie with Ryan Reynolds? Now that they have that confirmed that it is Ryan Reynolds.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. I am TJ Washuk.
And I am Damian Marley.
This has been a Two Guys production.